All right, everyone, I think we'll go ahead and get started here. It's a minute past the hour. My name is Anna Mulé. I'm the Director of Communications and Campaigns, and I'm excited to have this call today to give some updates on what we have cooking for the next upcoming months. A little bit of housekeeping before I jump into the content here. We have a growing number of people on the call. If you could just mute yourself when you come in, especially those people who are calling in on the phone and instead of using the computer interface. That's really helpful so we don't get ambulances and dogs barking as we go here. The other thing is we have the comment box available for those of you who are dialing in with your computer. You can just type in any question or comment in the message box in the chat, and we'll try to get to those as well as we can. Either we'll address them as quickly as possible through the chat box, or we will respond to them. We'll talk about your question. We are recording this call, so if you want to come back to it later or you missed the part, you have to leave early, we'll post a recording of the call in the Facebook Leaders Facebook group. Without further ado, let's get started on this presentation. So today, I'm really excited. Oh, let me turn my video on so you can see me. There's a little personal connection. Today we'll be talking about the upcoming Plant a Seed campaign, which is now should be familiar after the third year of us doing this campaign. We'll be talking about Slow Food Nations in July. Krista Roberts and John Schlegel are joining us to chat about that. And then very briefly at the end, I'll talk about what we're thinking about for the fall campaigns. It's a little early to really have details on that, but I just want to let you know, they are happening and some ideas about what we have later this fall. Okay, so last year, our theme for the year was food for change, and we really dived into the topic of climate change and food, how food can be a cause of climate change, a victim of climate change, and also a delicious solution. And we brought that theme throughout the campaigns and through the festival. This year, we want to do a similar thing with an annual theme. And we've been talking about how do we include more of the cultural elements of food, but also the new and exciting parts of food. Not that culture is not exciting, but how these two work together hand in hand. So the theme for the 2019 programs and projects is where tradition meets innovation, not to pit tradition against innovation, but again, to see how they can work together and be celebrated together through food. So the spring campaign, the Plant a Seed campaign, it's been a really fun project. Last year, we sent out kits to school gardens. We sent out kits to chapters and sold them to individuals. We're going to keep the same basic framework for this campaign, but we wanted to experiment with the theme, right? How do you unpack tradition and innovation in a campaign like Plant a Seed? And so this year we're deciding to partner with Row 7, which is Chef Dan Barber's seed company, where he really breeds new seeds for flavor. So we'll be pairing a seed from Row 7 with a seed from the Ark of Taste. And our goal is to have 1,000 gardens across the country, 1,000 biodiverse gardens across the country. We'll be donating a good chunk of these kits for free to school gardens with the support of the sponsors listed on the slide, which are Cultures of Resistance, Davinas, Whole Foods, and Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. We'll be giving these for free to slow food chapters who are in good standing. So one free kit per chapter as you request them. And then we'll be giving these for free as well to chefs who want to participate. Not all chefs will want to plant a seed, but hopefully a lot of chefs in our network have ties with farmers in their communities. And so we want to help facilitate the chef and the farmer partnership. So maybe the farmer grows these seeds and then the chef can experiment with cooking with them. Then we'll also be selling these to members and non-members, the individual kits. We really want to bring down the cost. Last year we were selling these kits at $45 per piece, and we just felt that was a little too high. So we're trying to bring down that cost to $30 for non-members, and then a discount for members to $25. What's inside the kits? It will be similar to last year, but more seed packets and some interesting promotional material to include. So as I said, this partnership with Row 7, this is the pairing here. So you can see on the screen, and for those who are calling in, it's Robin's Coconut Squash from Row 7 with the Long Island Cheese Pumpkin from Arc of Taste. It's the Badger Flame Beet from Row 7 with the Early Blood Turnip Rooted Beet from the Arc of Taste. It's the Beauregard Pea from Row 7 with Langston's Progress number 9 pea, which is also called the marrow fat pea. So we'll have a squash, a beet, and a pea. And these are all chosen to be plants that, work pretty well throughout the United States in different and growing climates that are relatively easy to grow. I mean, we'll provide some details on how to get these started, and that are delicious. We're really excited about how these taste and the recipe development that can come out of these, and the stories behind them that we can unpack in school classrooms and for communities across the states. So also inside the kits, we'll have a tin garden sign. It's about 7 inches round. You see the graphic here. It says slow food grows here. We hope that's a nice way to tell the story of the Arc of Taste and these seeds. We'll have some stickers, a poster, I'm pretty excited about this, some temporary tattoos from a company called Tater Tats that we'll have a beet tattoo, a squash tattoo, and a pea tattoo. We'll have some digital assets available for schools, for school curriculum, and for promotion. And then we're also partnering with Cultures of Resistance, who produced a film called Burkinabe Bounty, which is all about Burkina Faso and really how food plays such an important role. Food and biodiversity in particular plays such an important role in the culture there. So that is the gist of the content of the campaign. In terms of getting involved, of course, with slow food leaders across the country, we'd love you to request a kit for your chapter. Last year, we had about, I think, 70 chapters request a kit. We have 150 chapters, more or less, so I'd love to get more participation from chapters. Now, you can plant this yourself in a community garden. You can donate it to a local school garden, or you could use it, for example, for a promotion of some kind for a member or for a leader. There's a lot of different ways in which to use this kit. We're launching this in mid-February, so just keep an eye for those request forms. You can also invite your local chefs and farmers to participate. So we have, a growing number of members in the Chefs Alliance, but we'd really like to expand that list and the active chefs who are part of that alliance through this campaign, and trying to identify who are the chef allies in your community who might be interested in experimenting with some new slow food, endangered Arc of Taste and Row 7 seeds. We will have a digital toolkit for you to talk about this campaign with your schools and your networks. We have a limited quantity if you have specific influencers who might be interested in talking about this campaign on their platforms. And then we want this feedback loop to happen, right? So we want to hear what you're doing with the kits, and we want to be able to share those stories back with the broader slow food community in the United States. Now, there are some ways that people can customize this kit. So if your chapter is working on a specific seed, for example, maybe we could work out a bulk deal where you add the seed, or you replace, we swap out the seeds with the seed that you're working on. So I'm in communication with a few chapters about that. But if you're interested in a more kind of custom kit with this, please let me know. For the first time, I'm excited to say the Slow Food International community is joining. Some national associations are participating. So Canada is doing a Plant a Seed campaign activation this year, and we're working on some other countries as well. So it's interesting to see this expand past the United States. Let me stop for a moment. That is the main points on the Plant a Seed campaign. I'd love to hear any questions that come in, and if I can answer those quickly, I will, before we move on to Slow Food Nations. Let me see. Jim Brett saying, Slow Food Western Slope is a sponsor for a 9-month seed to seed school and would like to get a kit. Very cool. Thanks, Jim, for sharing that. Seed to seed school. Perfect. Any other questions? Okay, well, if anything else comes up, feel free to type it in the message box and we can come back to this at the end. Like I said, the campaign, Lauren, will launch in mid-February. We have to get our team together here to assemble all these kits. Then they'll ship in late February. So you should be able to get them early March, late Feb, early March. So go ahead and keep chatting your things. Any questions in the box right now? I'd love to turn this over to Krista Roberts and John Schlegel. John is a wonderful member of the board of directors for Slow Food USA, and he's going to give us an introduction to Slow Food Nations. Krista, of course, is the event director for Slow Food Nations, and she will dive into some of the details and Leader Summit once we give a general overview of what's happening. So, John?
John, I think you might still be muted.
Let me see. Let me try to unmute phone callers and see.
Oh, can you guys hear me now?
Yes. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, John.
Oh, Anna, sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry for the technology chaos here. I appreciate the quick moment to get a jump on board and talk to you guys about Slow Food Nations. I have a funny path to slow food, and that my love was always watching what a snail was around my neighborhood in Denver. But then I moved to Piedmont and into the Italian area for 2 years and had a phenomenal sabbatical with my wife and 3-year-old. And I'd always heard of slow food and obviously loved the movement, always participated as a restaurateur in Colorado. But when I moved to Bra, when I met Elisa and Carlos and saw the slow food, cheese, and then eventually 2 Terra Madres later, I was enamored. And I knew that this organization was much stronger than any other sustainable nonprofit or for-profit facility and organization I've ever seen. The depth was incredible. And truly the slow food movement and the spirit of it and where it started and how it has spread through, the multiple countries and continents across the world. This isn't going anywhere. That's what makes me so excited to be part of this. The foundation is strong, the history is strong, and obviously the cause and the movement are just gaining so much momentum. And then to have this type of festival, the idea of a Terra Madre for not Denver, not Colorado, but this is really for the United States and even North America. And Chef Massimo is the one that said it best last year when he said America is the future of slow food. And if we don't stay relevant and important through this time, then slow food will be challenged. And so we love that torch that such a prominent, the best chef in the world has passed off to us. And so we're now in our 3rd year of Slow Food Nations. Our momentum is exponentially stronger every year. The firepower that happens in the room for the cabinet that Krista's put together is both incredible, inspiring, entrepreneurial. They are the best gamers of food and beverage operations that I've ever seen, certainly out of our state and some of the draws I'm able to get. And so this one brings even more momentum. We've got some unbelievable partnerships that Krista can kind of allude to and talk about. We have a very strong and collaborative board that has really put their momentum and efforts and soul behind this cause to really, like I said, evolve slow food in Terra Mata, not just from the beautiful place it started in Piedmont, Italy, but now here in the United States. And so with that, I'll let Krista speak more to the conference and to the purpose, but this opportunity seems once in a lifetime, and the momentum we've started and created. The really heavy lifting is still in front of us, but the foundation is there, no question. Krista?
Thanks, John. Hi, everybody. I am here in Denver at the satellite Slow Food USA, Slow Food Nation's office, and excited to share a little bit about this year's festival. And just to add to what John was sharing is, I always think it's important to come back to why we do this, why Slow Food USA is putting on this festival. And if we think to the strategic plan for Slow Food USA, and that the key components are gathering, campaigns, and partnerships. And what's unique about this event is it brings everything together. It will happen annually. Denver will continue to be the host city. It's fantastic to have one place where we are building relationships and building the foundation for a festival to allow it to grow, to become very much a destination event. And we're thankful to have a space like many communities where slow food has strong connections, that is willing to work with us on a national and international level in a very collaborative way, and to continue to allow it to grow. I think it's a great opportunity, as many of us know who have been part of the Slow Food Network for a while, to allow us to all come together. We learn from each other, we develop as leaders, and we have a chance to connect with new partners and also old friends. And I think it also presents this opportunity for slow food, which is such a broad movement, but to allow people who want to learn more, who want to get involved, to have a tangible way to explore what slow food is and what it means to them. And walk away inspired while they're here, see how food and slow food builds bridges, and really a chance for everyone who has been involved, our partners, our leaders, to welcome new people to the slow food movement. And I think that's a good place to start, to remind us what it's all about. And what I'd love to do now, on the next slide, for those of you who are watching on the phone, or watching on your computers, is to really give kind of the 80,000 foot view, or maybe it's the 5,280 foot view from the Mile High City in Denver, of what the festival is. As a reminder, it will be held in Denver. For those of you who've been before, it will once again take place outside on Larimer Square in downtown Denver. It will align with the overall theme of Slow Food USA this year, where tradition meets innovation. And for planning in your calendars, we will, for those who are arriving on Thursday, if you can get here by late afternoon, early evening, we are planning a welcome reception, tentatively planned for 4 to 5 p.m. To welcome everyone who's coming in from out of town, who's joining from here in Denver. And then there'll be a series of optional experiences that will be ticketed separately that people can choose to attend that evening. Then Friday, July 19th, we will kick things off with our Slow Food Leader Summit. And I'll talk more about that on the call. Also happening that day will be a business-to-business networking event that will be an invitation-only event for merchants who will participate in the Taste Marketplace, other businesses who are participating, and other special guests, to allow everyone to connect. And there'll be an educational discussion as well as a social gathering. Friday evening, as in the past, we'll kick off with the opening party. That will take us into Saturday and Sunday, which is the main public-facing part of the festival. Many as in the last years, pieces of it open and free to anyone. There's some surrounding ticketed events, and some things to highlight will be the Saturday evening party, the Chef Summit, which will take place later that night, and the Zero Waste Family Meal that will happen on Sunday. Those are the highlights, and what I'd really love to do is take you through a couple different slides for those of you who can see them that show the highlights of the different components of the festival. For those of you who've been before, these will all sound really familiar. For those who haven't, this will give you a sense of what happens that weekend, and you can stay tuned over the next couple of months for more details about all of these. So key pieces are the signature parties. That's the Friday night kickoff party that's all about Colorado. It's welcoming the world to Colorado. Saturday evening we'll have a different theme this year, and we're working on what that will be, so stay tuned. The Taste Marketplace is the heart of this festival. We'll have this year between 80 to 100 merchants who will be there to share their stories, to sample product, and to sell their product. They're coming from all parts of the country as well as outside, and we're excited to integrate the marketplace within the overall festival footprint this year. So as visitors walk down each street, they're able to engage with merchants, take place in other activities, maybe grab a drink or some food, and that'll be a new layout that we'll put in place this year based on feedback we've received from many people. In addition to that layout, we'll have a number of different beverage gardens. So we're decentralizing the bars and the prepared foods that'll be available. We will theme them, and there'll be some educational, taste education components around each of them. So we're excited to bring that in this year. We'll end on Sunday with the Zero Waste Family Meal, which has been a highlight in the last 2 years. For those of you who aren't familiar, we collect a wonderful group of chefs, both from the local community as well as visiting, who work with our team to inventory food waste. We're capturing that throughout the weekend. Things that otherwise would have gone to waste that are then put to use to create a delicious family-style meal on the last night of the festival, and really telling the story of the importance that we put on creating a zero-waste festival. And then on the next slide, a couple of other highlights. Hey, Anna, can you flip the slide? Sorry. Which starts with the family pavilion. So we're actually going to grow this year. It was such a popular part of the festival last year, and this is really about engaging the next generation and the future of food in this conversation through a lot of different hands-on activities, pop-up workshops that happen throughout that weekend. And I'm really excited to be working with Kim and Cynthia, who head up our National School Garden community, and work to put together some great programming there. Back this year will also be the Food for Change tent. This is our series of free talks that happen outside, really allowing people to jump into different discussions and explore kind of why does this matter around different areas, and also how can I get involved. Taste workshops are a series of ticketed workshops that will happen throughout the weekend. A lot of different opportunities will come up here, and just stay tuned for what's coming. The kitchen counter is our evolution of our demo stage. So this year we want to create a much more intimate space that is a kitchen counter / chef's table kind of format, and it will allow for a small group of people to engage around this table space, and with many others to be able to stand and observe and have a view into hands-on demonstrations and also conversations around things like fermentation or ancient grains and different other taste exploration. Moving on to the last slide of just some of the highlights. I mentioned the Chef Summit before. This takes place on Saturday late night. It's an invitation-only event to participating chefs, Chefs Alliance members, and it's a chance to take part in a short program. This year's focus will be in the farmer and chef relationship, and then afterwards a chance for this group of people who are engaged in so many ways throughout the weekend to connect socially and have a chance to be together while they're all here in Denver. We'll also continue this year with a series of speaker sessions. They'll be a little simpler this year, focused on a topic that is related to the tradition meets innovation theme. And then each of them will be followed by what we'll call an aperitivo outside, a chance to connect and download over the topic that was just discussed over a beverage or a small taste before then going back into the main part of the festival. I mentioned before that we will once again this year host a B2b reception, which is a great opportunity for our Taste Marketplace merchants to connect with other businesses here, purveyors, buyers, distributors, and make some great connections. This year, the the short program that kicks off this reception will focus on business for good and feature some different guest speakers. And then last but not least is the Leader Summit. And we'll actually go to the next page so I can talk in a little bit more detail, because I'd really love to focus a little bit more on what that day will include this year. I think important to mention is that tickets are going to go on sale for the Leader Summit next week. What you can expect as a high-level outline for that day is 8 to 8:45 will be registration. From 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. will be a welcome and a keynote discussion. We'll follow that keynote with a series of breakout discussions with about 5 to 6 different options that morning. We'll all have lunch together, and we'll gather around different areas of interest so we can connect over lunch. And then following that is a really great opportunity this year. As many of you know, food justice and social justice have always been a cornerstone of slow food values: good, clean, and fair food. And we have a renewed commitment to call much deserved attention to this. And thanks to the tireless work of our EIJ committee, we launched the EIJ Manifesto at last summer's Slow Food Nations, emphasizing Slow Food's commitment to this work. And at this year's Leader Summit, with thanks again to the EIJ committee, we'll host a personal development session focused on an EIJ topic. Details about that are still being finalized, so stay tuned, but we're really excited to include this important piece to the Leader Summit. Following that session, we'll have closing remarks from 4 to 5 p.m. and the much anticipated Snail Blazer Awards, which will happen for the third year at Slow Food Nations. So stay tuned for more info. Important thing you need to know, again, I'll say tickets go on sale next week. Your ticket to the Leader Summit includes the welcome reception on Thursday, the Leader Summit registration, and then access to a slow food community space during the weekend. We heard from many people that there's way too much to talk about that we could possibly fit into the Friday. So how do we take advantage of having all these leaders together and these different communities together and continue the conversation? So what we're putting in place throughout the weekend is a space where just that can happen. We'll be sharing details soon about how that space can be reserved, how people can organize conversations throughout the weekend. An important thing we're adding this year is we'll have early bird ticket sales through March 15th. The ticket pricing will be $150 for members and $250 for non-members. After March 15th, tickets go up to general pricing, $200 for members and $300 for non-members. We will have scholarships to offer, so when tickets are launched, you'll see a link to be able to apply for a scholarship. Scholarships include the same as a registration: Thursday welcome reception, Leader Summit registration, and access to the slow food community space during the weekend. We'll have 50 total scholarships, and they'll be grouped by different areas. We'll be looking to our leadership in the slow food community to help identify, review and identify the scholarship recipients. So more information to come on that. And I Yeah, one more thing I think to sum all this up, and then I want to make sure I look at the questions and am able to answer. But how can all of you get involved? How do we need all of you to get involved? At this stage, I think there are 4 very important things. One is participate in the Leader Summit and bring a friend. It's a great way to get someone engaged who's part of your slow food community, part of one of our partner organizations. Come to Denver, connect with this amazing network of leaders. Organize a chapter pop-up in our slow food booth. This is a new thing that we're going to bring to the festival this year. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of cost for chapters to organize their own booths in the Taste Marketplace, and we recognize that. So we want to make it a little bit easier and not so hard on the budgets, and we'll be sending more information out about this, but we'll be blocking 1 to 2 hours of time at this slow food booth for chapters to sign up to host a pop-up during that time, where you can share information about the work that's happening in your community. You can offer simple tastings that represent your region, and a way to tell your story. So stay tuned for more about that. As I mentioned before, the Taste Marketplace is such a big part of Slow Food Nations. For those of you who have been to Terra Madre Salone del Gusto, you will recognize the importance. All of you have such great relationships and connections in your regions with food producers whose story we should be telling, who we want to include as part of the Taste Marketplace. So you'll be getting some information from us that will make it easy for you to reach out to encourage people to sign up and be part of the Taste Marketplace. And then last but certainly not least, please be the ambassadors for Slow Food and Slow Food Nations in your community. Share with them. We'll share our media toolkits with you, our social media toolkits, so you can share and get the word out and get the buzz going and get people excited. And keep an eye on slowfoodnations.org so you can have all of the latest updates as programming gets launched and things are put into place. A date to save is that the tickets for the overall festival for the ticketed pieces will go on sale early May. Okay, I'm looking through the questions.
Give you a recap of the questions. So people are asking about the venue, where it will be.
For the Leader Summit, yes.
Yep.
We are seconds away from announcing, and we will share out information with that in the next couple of weeks.
And then Cheryl is asking about making the EIJ session available via live stream. And I said, it might depend on the format of that session, but we are working on what sessions we're able to live stream and what sessions make sense to live stream in terms of the format.
Yes. Does anyone have other questions? Of course, at the end of the slide deck, and which will be shared for those of you who are on the phone, and both my email and Anna's email are in there. So if you think of a question after today, please reach out. We'll certainly be in touch next week as we launch the tickets for the Leader Summit, and look forward to sharing more updates in the next few months as more pieces of the Slow Food Nations come together. All right. I think, Anna, with that, I'll turn it back over to you to wrap up about the fall campaigns. Thanks, everybody.
Great. Thanks, Krista. And continue, if you have questions, please chat them. We can answer some more at the very end here. I just wanted to spend like a minute on the fall campaigns. As I said at the beginning, these are still being planned. You can imagine Slow Food Nations and the Plant a Seed campaign take up a lot of our brain space. So at this point, what we have planned for the fall is our annual September membership drive. Of course, we do this every year. It's a great time to rally together around membership. In the past few years, we've done a Give What You Can Day on September 15th. We plan to do that again, just so that everyone can plan on that happening. We continue our partnership with Meatless Monday, and we're currently planning a couple exciting partnerships. One is a possibility of partnering with Slow Food Russia and some producers in Russia to bring their product to Slow Food Nations, but then also to activate it in a campaign in the fall. Last year we partnered with the Eco Challenge. I think that worked pretty well. It's a really great platform for kind of helping people identify some very tangible ways to make a change in our eating habits, our food habits, what goes on our plates. And then again, we do this end of year fundraising campaign, generally from Giving Tuesday, which is the day after Thanksgiving, through the end of the year. And there will be, as part of that, another Give What You Can Day on December 10th, which is Terra Madre Day. So again, not a ton of detail around those, but just so you know, those main campaigns are in the works and coming. So I hope you'll join us in these initiatives, these events. We're really excited. I think we have a great lineup for the festival and an exciting campaign schedule this year. I'd love to open up the floor if anyone has any questions. We can also end early if no one has questions here. Bhavani is asking, 2 years ago, I thought we voted to do away with membership. That was, no, we have not voted to do away with membership. Membership remains a pretty important part of our model. I think the change you're referring to is the change in the leader, the chapter. Shoot, this is Ian's world. I'm looking at Ian over here. Ian, do you want to jump in at least in the comment box, or do you want to jump in the video? Okay, perfect.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Perhaps this may be in the past, chapters used to get a kickback of membership dues, and that changed, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, and that was no longer the case because from the national perspective of trying to relieve the burden of chapters focusing strictly on membership recruitment, and instead to focus on other fundraising events or anything that was more community oriented, and to provide those resources. So I don't know if that's what this is relating to, but maybe that helps.
Thanks, Ian. Krista, do you want to?
I see a question. Yeah, and I see a question here from Jody, just asking to confirm what's the date when tickets will go on sale. And just to confirm, Leader Summit tickets will go on sale next week. Slow Food Nations tickets will go on sale in early May for the ticketed pieces related to the event. But remember, the festival itself is free entry, open to anyone, and there are a lot of non-ticketed things to do during the weekend. Bob, I see a question about posting a list of possible topics for the sessions at Slow Food Nations and letting chapter members vote on which ones we're interested in. Are you referring to the breakout sessions at the Leader Summit? I don't know if you're able to respond, but okay, thank you. So that's a great idea. I will take that back to the team, and we can look at, as we're developing, how we might be able to share that out. Thank you for that suggestion. Ian McFall saying, I love the connection with Slow Food in Russia, especially given some of the current political discord. And I know we often have Slow Food Mexico participate. will we see the same as our work with Russia?
I can talk to that. Where the answer is we're working on it. This is, of course, not surprisingly, a funding issue. So we're trying to secure the funding to enable Slow Food Russia to participate. So hopefully, yes, is the answer.
And I think we are looking at, for Slow Food Nation specifically, coordinating some really interesting other international participation, Japan, Canada, and others. And I think it really does speak to how slow food and food builds bridges, which is one of the special parts about all these slow food gatherings. Warren is asking, will chapters have table space in the Taste Marketplace, and what will be the cost? So there is certainly the opportunity for chapters to apply and reserve to have a booth in the Taste Marketplace as before. I'll put the link here in a minute to the page on the website that has the breakdown of all the different costs for chapters to participate in that way. And as I mentioned before, there's also another lower cost and less time intensive option that we're going to offer this year. We're at a central slow food booth, Slow Food USA booth. We'll have some space there for chapters to host 1 to 2 hour pop-ups. So they can share about the work that's going on in their region, possibly have some tastings from their region featured there. So we'll send out more specific information and calls to action for chapters to participate in those ways. Okay. All right, looks like that might be the last question for now. From a Slow Food Nation's perspective, we're excited to stay in touch. Please watch all channels, email, social, website for updates, and of course, reach out if you have any questions.
Definitely, and I'll put on the last slide here our contact information. Krista, it's pretty easy. Krista at slowfoodusa.org and Anna, A-N-N-A, at slowfoodusa.org, or call us either way. But thank you everyone for joining us. We'll stay on for a few more minutes in case any other questions come up on the chat. But I think that's it. Krista, any final words? We good?
No, good. Nice to see everyone. See the names who are on today, and really hope to see you in a few months in Denver.
I'm going to unmute everyone so you can say goodbye. I think everyone's unmuted.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.